Today we're going to talk about a concept called the wall in terms of when women become suddenly unfuckable as soon as they hit age 30 or early 30s. And if you believe in this concept, and a lot of you do, I'm going to ask you some questions about this, and you're going to realize you don't have answers to these questions. And when you realize you don't have answers to these questions, it's going to make you rethink the entire concept of the wall. Let's talk about this. I am Caleb Jones. This is Alpha Male 2.0, freedom-focused lifestyle design for men. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. I do 5 videos a week here on how to make both your business life and your woman life more free, because you need both. We're actually doing an online course giveaway right now. This is my online course on how you can create your own location-independent income. It normally retails for about $1,400, but you could get it for free, maybe. All you have to do is be a subscriber here at YouTube, like this video and leave a comment, and I will announce the winner of the drawing over at the YouTube community feed here at this YouTube channel. Okay, the wall. If you didn't know what the wall is, most of you I think are familiar with this, but the wall is a concept that comes out of the red pill world, the manosphere world. It's talked about a lot. Sometimes guys don't use this exact wording. Sometimes they say women passing their expiration date. That's another variation of the wall. And the concept is basically that as soon as a woman turns 30, and there's no direct consensus on the exact age of when this happens for guys who talk about this. Maybe it's early 30s, but I'm going to say 30 or early 30s because most guys seem to indicate that's kind of where this happens. As soon as a woman turns 30, she instantly becomes disgusting and unfuckable. She becomes gross, she becomes old, her ovaries are all dried up. Why would you ever marry her? Why would you ever date a woman over 30 or 30s? Why would you ever have sex with her? That is disgusting and horrible and gross. Don't ever, ever, ever be with a woman who has passed the wall, right? And if you've been in red pill circles, manosphere circles, you've heard this a lot. I've heard this a lot. Now, do I agree that as women get older, they tend to get less attractive? Of course, I agree with that. I have sex with 19-year-olds on a regular basis because I'm non-monogamous. I'm Alpha 2.0. So obviously I don't disagree with that one. That's fine. But if you believe strongly that as soon as a woman turns 30, she hits the wall and now she's gross and disgusting, you really haven't thought this through in terms of how this is going to reflect in your own life. This is a nice philosophy to have, but here at Alpha Male 2.0, we don't really talk about philosophy so much. We talk about actionable items for your life to optimize your life. So you have to think about in terms of, if you have this belief that as soon as a woman hits 32 or 33 or whatever, she's instantly gross and disgusting, you have to then explain to me how you're going to integrate that into your life. In other words, what exactly is your long-term plan? If you believe this strongly, and I've asked guys in the red pill world, manosphere world to answer this question, I've never gotten an answer. So here's what I mean. Most guys who subscribe to this concept strongly, not all of them, most of them, tend to be more right-wing-ish, more traditional-minded guys who believe in monogamy and lifetime marriage and have kids and be a Christian and all that good stuff. Not all of them, but a lot of them lean in that direction. Great. So let's say you marry a woman and she's 23 because she hasn't hit the wall yet. Good for you. Great. I think it's insane if you marry a 23-year-old, but okay. Discussion for another time. But let's say you do that. You marry a 23-year-old, you have 2 kids with her, and your objective is to be married to her for the rest of your life. Traditional marriage, right? Right? That means you're going to be married to her for the rest of your life, right? What happens when she hits the wall? What happens when she hits 30, 32, 33, and now she's unfuckable and disgusting? Your wife is now gross because she's hit the wall. I assume if you get married, you don't want to be married for 5 or 6 years. You want to be married for a long, long time. So that means at some point, relatively soon in your life, that young, hot wife you marry is going to hit the wall. Then what? But you know what? I'm jumping ahead. Let's talk about this for a minute. What are you going to do if you want to get married? If you want to settle down long term, and most guys who believe this concept do, what is your plan? Are you going to marry a 20-year-old? You're going to marry a 19-year-old? You're going to marry a 22-year-old? Do you have any idea what the fucking divorce rates are when you marry someone that young? Do you have any idea what you're doing? That is the dumbest thing in the universe, and I've talked about this in my blogs ad infinitum. If you live in the Western world, even if you marry a non-Western woman, and I've talked about this before too, if you live in the Western world and you marry a woman that young, you can basically guarantee yourself that you're going to get divorced. You're going to get divorced. Now, is that your objective? Is your objective to get married just to get divorced in 7 years? So your objective is to marry a 22-year-old girl, and then in 6 or 7 years before she hits the wall, you're going to get divorced? Then what? Then you're going to get married again? And again, you're going to be like, what, Larry King and get married 8, 9 times? Does that sound like a fun life, to constantly get divorced over and over and over again every time your wife hits the wall? Is that your plan? I thought you thought that marriage is for life. I thought divorce is bad. So why are you going to get divorced every 10 years as soon as your wife hits 32, like Tom Cruise? You really want to do that? You really want to go through divorce after divorce after divorce after divorce for the rest of your life? Is that your plan? Tell me what your plan is long-term in your life when you get way past age 35 or 40 and you want to settle down at some point. Now, if you're 27, I don't care what your plan is. I've talked about before in prior videos. You probably have no idea what you want when you're 27, and whatever you're saying at 27, you're going to change your mind when you're 40. I'm talking about you guys who believe in this concept, who want to settle down long-term with a woman. What is your plan? Is your plan to marry a 22-year-old, and as soon as she hits the wall, you're going to stop having sex with her and just cheat on her? So you're going to cheat on her? Is that Christian? Okay, great. I thought you said monogamy was the best way to go, you traditional guys. Because basically you're proving my point. If you're going to marry a woman with the intention of cheating on her, you've just admitted that non-monogamy is the only way to go, which is what I teach. Except I don't cheat on women. I do it in an honest way where they know what I'm doing. I'm married. I have sex with other women all the time. I don't have to hide a thing. It's wonderful. But is that your plan? Are you going to cheat on your wife as soon as she hits the wall and start banging 19-year-olds? Is your wife going to put up with this? Are you never going to get caught? Are you going to spend the next 60 years married to this woman who's just going to put up with you banging 19-year-olds while she's home nursing your kids? Is that going to work in the Western world? How many other guys have you seen make that model work in the Western world? Not outside the West, but in the Western world. Is that a model that works? Is that a workable thing you're going to do? What is your plan? You guys who strongly subscribe to this concept, I'm being completely serious now, and I'm not making a joke. I want you to put in the comments below exactly what your long-term plan is for the next 40 plus years. If you believe that as soon as a woman hits 30 or 32, she becomes unfuckable and gross. Tell me exactly what your plan is. And maybe you could educate me as to this wonderful master plan that you've mapped out in your own head. Here's the problem with having strongly held philosophies that don't necessarily translate over into real life. Now, if your plan is, I hate marriage, I'm never going to live with a woman, I'm just going to bang hookers for the rest of my life, that's fine. That's okay. But the problem is, again, most of the guys I have seen subscribe to this concept and talk about this a lot are not those men. These are men who want to settle down. If not now, then at least some point in their future. So if that's your plan, tell me exactly how you're going to do this long term. Based on my past experience online when I've posed this question to people who talk about this, I already have a feeling I know what your answer is going to be. Option one is you're just going to dodge the topic and you're not going to give me an answer. You're going to make some kind of ad hominem personal attack against me, or you're just going to reiterate that older women are gross or past their expiration date, or make a joke about dried up ovaries, and you're not actually going to answer the question. And if you don't answer the question, and you believe in this concept strongly, what is your plan? What does that tell you? What does that tell you about the future of your life if you can't answer a very basic question about how you plan your long-term future with women? Because I've always known what my long-term plan was, and I actually did my long-term plan. Have a non-monogamous OLTR marriage with a woman who's about 10 years younger than me, who is really good looking, and have sex on a regular basis with younger women on the side, and structure the marriage legally where if I get divorced, I don't lose any money. It's called the OLTR marriage. That is exactly what I said I was going to do many years ago. That's exactly what I did. Pretty simple. Why can't you do that? Why can't you tell me exactly what you're going to do? The next possible answer I'm probably going to get is some kind of Guy Disney answer. What I alluded to earlier is that you're going to say, yes, I'm going to marry a virgin Christian woman who is 18 years old. And yes, as soon as she hits the wall, I'm going to stop having sex with her. And I'm going to bang women on the side. And yes, I'll probably get caught eventually. But you know what? Tough shit. That doesn't matter. She's going to stay with me and never divorce me because I'm a strong alpha male and I'm a good provider. As I've said many times, if that system worked, you should be able to point me to millions of men who have made that exact system work, particularly in the manosphere red pill world. For some reason, I don't see those millions of men. I don't see any. Outside of super wealthy billionaires, I don't see marriages like that work. And even when they work, they're extremely high drama and they have a lot of problems. I don't have any drama in my marriage. I think I like my plan better. But that's the next possible option I'll get. I suppose the third possible answer I might get is, yeah, I'll just get divorced every 10 years like Tom Cruise. I teach long-term masculine consistent happiness here at Alpha 2.0, and what the system you're describing is the opposite of that. Getting divorced every 10 years, every 7 or 8 years, for the next, 40, 50 years of your life, that's not long-term happiness. That is the opposite of long-term happiness. I would shoot myself in the fucking face if I had to live a lifestyle like that. I know a few guys who've done that. These are not happy guys. I know a few guys who've been divorced 3, 4, 5 times. These are not happy, well-adjusted, excited dudes. These are stressed out, pissed off guys, generally speaking. Is that your plan? What is your plan? Let me tell you something. When I made the decision to settle down again in an OLTR marriage, not a traditional monogamous marriage because those don't fucking work anymore, but an OLTR marriage, and I've talked about this before, I purposely went out of my way to settle down with a woman who was, believe it or not, past the wall. Not much past the wall. The age I had in mind was 35. She was actually 34, so it worked out pretty well. I wanted a woman who was not some young girl in her 20s or early 20s or even mid 20s, because when you do that, and I've had direct experience with this, when you get into a serious relationship with a woman in her 20s, she's not done developing. That's not a fully formed adult yet. So the woman you start dating when she's 23 is going to be a radically different person when she's 27. The odds are overwhelming she'll divorce your ass or create some other kind of problem where you're going to have to get divorced. I didn't want to do that, so I purposely settled down with a woman who was 35, just over the wall, but not too much over the wall. She's still very hot. You've seen pictures of her, and you've seen videos of Pink Firefly. She's beautiful, but what have you, and she's technically over the wall. I did the opposite of what you're suggesting. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to settle down with a known quantity, not some unknown thing, some unknown woman where she's 24 years old or 23 years old. I have no idea what she's going to be like by the time she's 30. Make sense? I did that on purpose. Now, will that work? My marriage is better than I thought it would be. Now, we've been married for we're coming up on 3 years now. We've been together for about 6 years. I will let you know in about 7 more years if this actually worked in terms of longevity of the marriage. We don't know that yet, but so far I'm doing pretty well. I don't have any problems, and I'm non-monogamous, so I can have sex with her, and I can have sex with other women whenever I want. Pretty good fucking deal. But the point is, I sat down and made sure that I could actually initiate my philosophies into my life on a logistical basis, so it was actually a doable model. In other words, I didn't just say, I feel this way, and then started bitching about it on the internet. Instead, I took my philosophies and I translated them into real action, into real plans that I actually executed in real life that actually worked. And most of you who are screaming and bitching about the wall have not done this. You've assumed a philosophy, but you haven't actually thought through how you're going to make that work in real life. And if I'm wrong, you should be able to make a comment below and tell me exactly what your high probability of success plan is going to be following this concept through the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life. I can't wait to read your answers. And as I said earlier, I think I know what your answers are going to be. Food for thought. Think about that. If you want more actionable, real-life, field-tested techniques on how to maximize your techniques and even settle down, you can go to joinsmic.com. That is my monthly mentorship and audio training program. Or in the meantime, you can click here to find out why you should not kiss women on the first date, or click here to find out why she dumped you. See you soon.